Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of Belly Up Sports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at righteousfelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon jerky.
Very active the Western Conference has been as far as transfers go. But some team has to take a dip. Who's that team that you feel like maybe as everybody's getting better are kind of getting worse from the lack of moves?
I think probably the biggest loss for me is Real Salt Lake.
Mm-hmm.
Just him moving. I think if he would have just moved overseas, I would have been less concerned for Real Salt Lake. But he went to San Jose.
Yeah, I think it was so bizarre what happened. Where also like they were to a point where you were like, this team might be the team competing for the MLS Cup.
Yep.
To then Cucho gets hit with this suspension. Weird suspension. No one knows what happened.
Yep.
We just have rumors, and that's what we're going off of. And so no one knows what happened with him with Chucho.
I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah, it was Chucho.
Chucho, like they need to find different nicknames far from each other.
We're surprisingly not that creative when you think about it when it comes to nicknames. It's usually based on a name. If your name is this, your nickname is this. So like if your name is Sergio, you're Checo. So
it's no matter. Don't deviate from it.
If your name is Jesus, your nickname is Chewy. So it's not. We're very on point. So, but anyways, Real Salt Lake is I think Diego Luna is gonna have to step up big time for this team.
That's my guy.
If dude broke his nose and got an assist,
Yes.
Can't make this up. Also January is Dog of the Month, so don't forget that. But I think Salt Lake, that's a team where I'm just like they look like the same team from before now that Arango isn't there, and it is unfortunate that this guy stayed in the Western Conference because you're gonna see this guy.
Yes.
I agree. That one's a good one. I'm a go bold here. Because look, man, when you're on top, there's only one place you can go, and it's not more on top. And I think the loss of Jovalich is a big one. I think you lose Bruggeman, which came up big in the MLS Cup. You're not going to have Ricky Puig.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know for how long. Maybe he comes in the summer. But still, he's going to still be recovering from the injury. By the way, also props to him for tearing his ACL and still finishing the match. If that was me, I'd be still on the floor. So
it's a final. It hits different.
He's also built different.
Yes.
So, so there is also that, but also winning the MLS Cup and you see him jumping around, and this guy, I don't think he had the operation yet, but it's still impressive. Jumping on people's backs.
The alcohol will do that to you too.
athlete. Yeah, that too. But I do think the Galaxy will see a dip from them, and it's just because I think that there has been a lot of losses. And I don't know if they've recovered enough. Look, this isn't taking jabs at Christian Ramirez. I think he's a quality player, but you're expecting to, that same output from Jovalich with Christian Ramirez, I think is going to be a little bit less. And then I think Paintel is going to be out at least initially.
Yes, they just saw that he was for 3 to 4 months. Is that what they said?
Oof. Oh man, that's a big
that's
one.
what it was saying.
But I mean, you still have Diego Faguna, so that is still an option there. But it's going to be basically the Gabby Peck show, at least for the first couple of days. I think the midfield could be interesting for LA Galaxy, but aside from that, I think that they're going to have definitely like at least a rough start to the season. So I'm going to say the team that I and I'm not saying they're not going to make the playoffs, but I do expect a dip from the LA Galaxy this year.
Yeah, and I think probably my last one is like Seattle. I'm not too sure how.
They
I'm
made
not.
moves, but you just don't know what those moves are going
Yes.
to do. Sebastian for not Sebastian, Jesus Ferreira, Chewy Herrera,
Yep.
Ferreira,
There
Chewy
you go.
Ferreira. Um, I think is an interesting addition to the team. Is he kind of? I'm just curious what exactly is he gonna play? Is it gonna be that Raul Ruiz Diaz role, or or what exactly? But like, do I feel like this team got better? I think defensively, they're still that same team defensively. But the look, I still apologize for everybody that had to watch that Seattle Houston matchup because the attack was. I don't know if attack is even the right word to say because
They were playing for their lives.
yeah, literally. I
Yes.
mean, defensively was a great game if you
Yep.
wanted to be a fan of defending. Um, and then just terrible PKs. That's
Yeah.
so yeah, no, I think yeah, Seattle I just don't know if they got better. And I think that's where you're coming from.
Yes.
And as we're mentioning, teams got better, right? They added crucial additions to their team. And so I think, yeah, I think that's a really good shout for the Seattle Sounders because did they get better? And as you see everybody else getting better around you, there has to be a dip. So
I can
that
cause
is,
trouble by saying Sporting KC because they only have one big spending fix. I think they lost what, 3 players, so they're
I mean, well,
uh,
Polito wasn't really much on the field. So, I mean,
yeah. I guess they're checkbook out
addition by
later, so that
subtraction, I
helps.
guess, on that one.
Yes. Oh, I forgot the Irish guy's name. He was a big one that did not resign. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
as a matter of fact, the preview from Goals TV, um, I had to really scroll that Sporting KC roster to try to find somebody that could provide service to Jovalich.
Mhm.
And the best I could say was Memo Rodriguez, and that's some bias because of the fact that he's a Dynamo Academy product. So,
Okay.
but aside from that, no, this team is to go from scoring a goal in the MLS Cup to now being at Sporting Kansas. Man, I'm a pray for him, but
Hey,
I don't think my
hey,
prayer is gonna help.
hey,
I'm probably like the last person you want to pray for you. So
I'm sure the weather is going to hit him differently when he going to feel that cold once he leave California and show up to Kansas in the middle of nowhere, cornfield from LA. Oh,
it's
yeah, it's gonna hit.
that's gonna humble you quick.
Yes, yes, quick.
This is
And I'm saying for all Midwest. I'm not just saying because it's in Kansas, but it just
in general.
yes, it his lifestyle's gonna change. He knows that. I hope so.
Yeah, and then I'll throw in Vancouver as well. I think it's insane that the coach just left, and now I mean Vancouver is always underrated team in some sense now recently, but I don't I just did not understand why the coach would leave. I think
They're
that
for sale.
they were building. Yeah, that's true. There's also
That's
that. I mean,
yes.
do you
That's why
want to go?
Papa left. He's like, I'm out of here. But,
Okay, well, fair, well played, but.
yes.
Which it sucks because you feel like you're building something now with Vancouver, right? And now this kind of just scratch everything.
So there will be, I think for Vancouver, it will be two different ways this is going to happen. Either all the players will have to show what and who they are for their next team, or the entire team has to show their future buyers what they're getting themselves into. So player wants to go away or they want to stay, or the team has to show their future owners how many millions you're gonna pay more or less. I think they're literally playing for their next owner and how much it's gonna cost them because if you suck, you're going to have to pay less for that team.
Yeah, that's a
And
good
if they
point.
play well, someone's gonna have to cough up more. And maybe Las Vegas might have their team now.
Yeah, It's crazy because I think we were talking about that where on goals, but I think we were talking about that with like maybe with everything that's going on with MLS, this is kind of like that prime opportunity right now for a lot of the Canadian teams to maybe
Mm.
make the switch to the Canadian Premier League. Which I mean, and I've watched the Canadian Premier League. It's actually a pretty good league. I enjoy it. Am I a little biased? Probably because I know the goalkeeper coach for Calvary.
Coming back to Vancouver, I think that's where they are on a weird cycle where your owner put your team in, and then your coach leaves, and then one of your best player leaves. There's
Hmm.
so many question marks.
All right, so we talked about teams that could possibly be dipping in the Western Conference, but now those teams that have immensely improved their teams. Is there anybody, especially in that non-playoff category, from the previous year, that you feel they're gonna be in that discussion now for playoffs?
As I said, how the earthquake, because they there's no for them. There's no other way than up to begin with,
So
and
when you
then
say improvement, how what would you define improve? I mean, obviously anything's better than
the last
last
team.
place,
Yes.
but I mean, as far as you gauging, because they were very much active.
Yes.
Um,
I think they probably be like on the playoff edge.
so wild card.
I'll I think they're probably knocking at the door for wild card because
Okay.
they even though they've brought in some very good offensive players, defense and midfield is still a question mark. The ball has to get to your strikers, and if there's no one to do so,
What
and
was
if it
the trade that San Jose did with New England? I think they swapped Nico Lima. I think that's it. Nick
oh
Lima. Nick Lima for Jackson Ewell.
yeah,
Um, it's one of those where I'm not sure who the winner of that trade was. Like,
which is bad. So I
yeah,
think they're like knowing the name that they brought in and the experience and is that Arena? That's
yeah, Bruce
the coach.
Arena,
Yes.
the
So now
re
he's the coach too. So
Mr.
he
Rebuild.
knows. Yes, and he knows, and he's been spending money because they gave him money. So he knows what to do to build a winning team. I don't know if it's necessarily what happened year one, but at least we'll see the foundation of what he's expecting that team to play like. And he has guys to score goals. So you need score goals to win games.
Yeah, I think San Jose is going to be an interesting team this year. It's not going to be depressing to watch them play. I
Well,
think.
we still you and I still want them to be very bad. We
Yeah, I
have to.
mean that's
Yeah.
fine. It's perfectly fine to
Yeah.
want to wish that.
Yes.
Um, but we're all talking about Bruce Arena, like the guy that, obviously he built a dynasty with DC United, built the LA Galaxy dynasty as well, which I believe was also a rebuild in some sense. Maybe people don't correlate LA Galaxy and rebuilding. But I think it was a rebuild over there as well. Now, New England, I feel like that was things out of his control. Also, a weird scandal that I think he was involved in
And that nobody knows
that nobody
what
knows.
happened.
Same thing with Chucho. It was like
Yeah.
no
He's
one
like
knows what happened there, and now they're both in San Jose. So
outcast.
yeah,
FC.
I mean they both still have jobs. So I mean,
Yes. Must be nice.
so yeah, I wish I could say that with the Houston Dynamo, but found a way to bring that joke in.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, no, I think San Jose is a good shout. I
I'm
think
trying not to be biased. That's as
Yeah, no, but I think it would be. It's not that crazy to say St. Louis will improve this year. I don't know if you feel what some of if they've done enough at least to get into a playoff spot. But I do. I mean, I think it's more because what I saw how St. Louis was at the end when they were finally healthy, that I was like, okay, this team was just had an unfortunate sophomore slump. And I think that's literally what it was. I think this team is still good. I don't know how you feel about the new coach for.
Yeah,
for
and well, from what I've seen firsthand, is like very exciting. Of like, it's not like there was a huge shift of what St. Louis play like before. I think there'll probably be a little bit more patience than what we had before. But what keeps us excited is that how we finish the year and that the players that we have, we kind of added more of the skills, and now they have more of a preseason together, and now they have a coach that kind of understand them a bit more. And the only thing that we're all praying is that we don't look like, ERFC. That
yeah,
will, and we have in our subs or our second round of players are almost as good and can do the work as our first team players. So compared to last year, we had so many injuries that we had to had STL CD2 players. The
hmm
entire bench was CD2 players. You don't expect to win a game if
guys are
your
still
best
on the
defenders are,
developmental stage.
yes.
So fair enough.
So I think that's the part where, and then there's the sophomore slump. So everything went bad, and then we lost the coach, which he was a victim of having almost the perfect season, and then having the almost the worst first half of the season. So it was
hmm
a perfect recipe for disaster.
Yeah, like I said, I think St. Louis, I think is still you still have Berkey, you still the German midfield that you guys brought in the second half of the
You,
season.
you mean the few of them, because we have
Yeah,
like
well,
two or three
heavily German
people.
influence. So,
Cartel, yes.
but yeah, Hartel.
Yes, that would be the
That's
maestro. So
yeah, that's who I'm thinking of. That
yes.
he was. So I think St. Louis has a good shout to. I don't want to say wild card, but I definitely think can get into that playoff discussion.
Three or
Um,
four. I'm expecting. I'm hoping or expecting three or four.
somewhere around there. I mean, where you don't have to play a wild card game is what I'm saying. So I think
I like that one.
St. Louis is a good one to keep an eye on. I think the
Uh-huh.
Galaxy is going to have such a slow start. LAFC's got a lot. I think they added some good pieces. I think Mark Delgado was a really good, smart
Yeah,
decision for the midfield. Um, Jeremy Abobasi, I think to me is a good name for LAFC. I think he just needed to get out of San Jose.
big time.
Um, and so I think him obviously I don't think he's starting over Giroud, but I think him coming off the bench, especially with his pace, that's going to be something a tired defender the last thing he wants to see is a fresh Jeremy Abobasi running
Yeah,
onto the pitch. So I think LAFC is probably gonna do a little bit good initially, at least the first half of the season. Maybe LA Galaxy once they're fully healthy. That I think I think El Tráfico is gonna be fun. I'm just gonna say that
I think it's always fun,
it's always
but
fun, but
but
it's
they all
gonna
have to be healthy.
man. If both of them, I mean, last year we did get to see both of them at their best. I think LAFC maybe was not matching LA Galaxy in some sense, but still going toe to toe with them, especially in the run for the first place spot in the Western Conference. Uh, but yeah, I can't wait to see this the second round of this rivalry now. Um, with both teams being on top right now of the league, so we'll see. We'll definitely see that. But before we talk about favorites, who is your sleeper team? The team that's gonna surprise everybody from the Western Conference?
That's kind of hard to say. It might have to be a complete bias answer.
Now go for it.
I think City is going to be the sleeper team
I agree. I actually
because
agree.
yes, and not because I've almost seen a lot of it firsthand of how not only the team chemistry but also the players that have. Now we're saying that now Berkey is a veteran in MLS.
hmm
Now we have players that kind of came from overseas that kind of understand how the league is being played. Klaus, that had not so well of a season last year, apparently he went back to like his old cultures and his old way of eating and thinking and others. to come back with a different mindset this year. So if it's a different mindset than what he had last year and closer to what he had the year before, MLS is in trouble. And we've also added more to our defense. So if Les Berkey has to do less crazy save, then maybe longer he will be happier
I mean,
and more goals.
a back line does wonders to a team.
Yes.
So, and as a Dynamo fan, I can attest to that. Back
Yes.
lines
So I'm just saying that we look like ERFC. So
yeah,
hopefully,
I think as long as they're healthy, I think St. Louis is going to be a big threat in the Western Conference. So I'm not disagreeing to it. I honestly, before you even said St. Louis, even when I was doing my prep for this, I was like, don't sleep on St. Louis. I think St. Louis is going to very much have a bounce back this year. As far as any other team, I can't think of anybody else. I would no, I can't think of any other team. Who is your favorite out of the West? I think this is probably a little trickier because I think as much as there is a lot of movement that has happened in the Western Conference, I don't know if there's like a team that like at least singles themselves out to be the front on favorite. And I think maybe this is the time where maybe people are going to pick LA Galaxy, but it's that start is going to be really hard for them. They're going to be missing a lot of players. I think Christian Ramirez would be serviceable. Not saying that he's not going to be. It's he's not going to have the similar output that Jovalich had. Um, and then also you're not going to have Paintsel. And I think that's a huge loss. Gabby Peck is going to be very much having the bulk load of the pressure on his side, but I think he's also built for it in some sense as well. But
yeah, but when a team have to concentrate on four great players, it's a lot harder to defend. Now you have one target player. You put two of your best defenders or one of your best midfielders and defender, and that player is locked for 90 minutes.
And then also, I mean, the fact that you have your captain and Marco Rose having
I forgot.
gripes with not with the club, with the league, but I mean, still showcasing their frustration. Um, and I get it. How are you gonna make less money when you won the MLS Cup? How are you losing play? How are you gonna lose key players when you won the MLS Cup? Like you should be building off of it, and I understand the frustration from both those guys, but it's also not a good look on your team at that point when there's already so many questions behind LA Galaxy, at least initially because of the injuries and big important players that are now no longer with the club. But yeah, also they lost Mark Delgado. He went next door. Maybe not next door. He went down the freeway
Hey,
and played for the other team in LA. So and I think that's also a pretty big loss as well. Mark
he didn't leave
Delgado.
the state, so that says a lot.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So for me, I can't pick LA Galaxy, and I feel like if I can't pick them, I kind of have to go with LAFC. I think that maybe
I
not.
guess they're pretty much our top two team in the West. Technically, I guess I was going to just say LA Galaxy as like the de facto because they're the champ, and the rest of our teams in the Western are like it's going to be a battle
I think it's very much open.
for
I
like
do agree.
3 through 9 or whatever. I think probably like you know what? To be fair, probably two from two going all the way down is going to be a battle now for who's going to be in that playoff run.
I agree. I think it's actually a lot more open. I do like the activeness that we have from the Western Conference, but there's no team out there that just looks stronger than the other. Like honestly, everyone very much can beat each other in some level.
On a good
So
day,
maybe not Kansas City. Kansas City might be like
I don't know. Hey, they beat us in the playoff when they were pretty much dead.
that's true.
So I think as long as if they are close to number 9, I think whoever's closer to 8 and 9 has a chance to go through.
Yeah.
So that's why the
I
West
will
is.
also say though with LAFC, there's also contingency as to want me picking them as the favorite because I think the rumors for Antoine Griezmann are getting stronger and stronger by the minute. Especially maybe he leaves Atletico Madrid with a championship. I don't know, maybe not really. You're going with the Galaxy or you're going or
Out,
who?
de facto will be LA Galaxy. LAFC is probably just a hair on their back because of who they are. The rest, I think, is just a toss up of who's going to have the better season to be from 3 all the way down to 7, pretty much. Those are usually the best
Yeah.
playoff like teams. So 3-7, it's all for the taking.